When your horse follows you across the pasture, stops at the fence and watches you leave, or presses their head against your chest without being asked, do you actually know what they're trying to tell you? It's beautiful. It makes you feel special. But behind that behavior, there's something much deeper than most writers ever stop to think about. They're communicating something, something urgent, something ancient, something so personal that it only exists between the two of you. And if you keep writing it off as stubbornness or neediness, which most people do without realizing, you might be missing the most honest conversation your horse has ever tried to have with you. Let's start with the one that changes everything. Number one, you are their anchor, and that's not an exaggeration. Think about what your horse's world actually looks like when you're not there. They don't choose their pasture companions. They have no control over their feeding, their space, their routine. The human world was imposed on them thousands of years ago, and yet something happened through that process that science is still working to fully understand. Research on equine behavior shows that horses form attachment bonds with humans in ways that closely mirror how they bond with other horses in their herd. It's not training, it's not conditioning, it's connection. When your horse follows you across the pasture without being called, when they grow restless as you disappear beyond the gate, when they visibly relax the moment you reappear, they're not being dependent, they're being loyal to what their nervous system has learned to recognize as safety. You, to them, are the herd. You are the safe place. You are the fixed point in a world they don't control. And there's one specific moment in the day when this behavior reveals something about your horse's emotional state that most writers never notice. We'll get there. And once you know what to look for, you won't be able to ignore it again. Number two, they're not following you, they're protecting you. Have you ever noticed that your horse doesn't just follow you, but follows you closely? That when you walk through the pasture, they come along, stay within a few feet, adjust their pace to yours, and sometimes almost rest their muzzle on your shoulder? This has a name in animal behavior research. It's called active proximity behavior, and it's not random. In the wild, horses in a herd never leave vulnerable members alone. The youngest animals, the sick ones, those on the edges of the group. There's always another horse nearby, not by accident, by a collective survival instinct wired deep into their biology. When your horse keeps you close, they're honoring that instinct. To them, you are part of the herd, and herd members don't stand alone. Researchers studying equine attachment have observed that strongly bonded horses show significantly higher cortisol levels when separated from their primary human, even in familiar environments, even with other horses nearby. It's not the space that matters, it's your presence. The horses that stay closest aren't the weakest ones, they're the most bonded, the ones who have decided, without negotiation, that wherever you go, that's where they belong. 3. How they behave in each part of the property tells you everything. Pay close attention to this one, because most writers have never thought about it this way. Your horse follows you everywhere, but do they do it the same way everywhere? Or do you notice subtle differences depending on where you are? In the open pasture, they come calmly, curiously, ears relaxed. Near the stable entrance, they lift their head, eye the gate, carry more tension in their body. In the stall, they receive you differently than they do in the aisle. Those differences are not random, they're emotional data. Equine ethologists have documented that horses mentally map their environments into zones of safety, anxiety, and neutrality based on what consistently happens in each place. The pasture where they graze freely, comfort zone. The feeding area, high positive excitement. The trailer loading corridor, maximum alert, regardless of how many times the process went smoothly. And the gate at the entrance to the property? For many horses, that's the most emotionally loaded spot in the entire environment. That's where you disappear. And no matter how many times you've come back, their brain keeps registering every exit, every single one. If your horse follows you to the gate and then stops, calls out, paces, or stands watching until you're out of sight, that's not drama. That's anticipatory anxiety. Their brain has learned that this spot is where the anchor leaves. And if you really think about it, that's not a behavior problem. That's love with nowhere to put itself. 4. When they won't leave your side, listen closely. Have you ever had a day where your horse simply didn't want distance, where they came to you without being called, stood quietly while you worked nearby, and pressed their muzzle against your arm every time you went still? Most riders think they're feeling affectionate today, but something more is happening. Horses are extraordinarily sensitive to human emotional states. Studies in equine cognition show that they identify human facial expressions, distinguishing happy faces from angry ones, and adjust their behavior accordingly. They read microexpressions. They detect shifts in breathing patterns. They notice when your movements slow down, when your voice sounds different, when your energy has changed. When you're anxious, exhausted, grieving, or simply quietly not okay, even if you say nothing, even if you try to act normal, your horse notices, and their approach behavior intensifies. They can't fix what's wrong, they know that, but they refuse to let you carry it alone. So on the days your horse seems glued to you for no obvious reason, think back on what that day has been. There's a real chance your horse picked up on something about how you were feeling before you'd even fully registered it yourself. 5. The horse that stops coming to you is telling you something urgent. What if one day they simply stop? The horse who always came to meet you in the pasture, who stayed close while you worked, who walked to the fence when you appeared, suddenly stands still, watches you approach without moving, doesn't come forward, pulls back into themselves. Most riders assume tiredness, heat, an off day, but veterinary behaviorists are clear about this. When a horse who has always sought proximity begins to withdraw, that is one of the earliest and most commonly missed signs that something is wrong. Horses, by a survival instinct inherited from millions of years as prey animals in open terrain, hide pain and weakness. They won't limp dramatically in the first days. They won't complain. They won't ask for help in any obvious way. But they will stop seeking contact, because seeking contact requires energy. It requires motivation. And when a horse's body or mind is struggling, that motivation disappears quietly, before any other symptom surfaces. If your horse has pulled back from the proximity behavior that was normal for them, and it persists for more than a few days, especially combined with changes in appetite, the brightness in their eyes, or their posture, don't wait. Your horse is whispering that something is wrong in the only language they have. The riders who catch it early are almost always the ones who were paying close enough to notice when the behavior changed. 6. The moment that reveals everything about your bond. Remember at the beginning when I said there's one specific moment in the day when your horse's behavior reveals something most riders completely overlook? This is it. Watch what your horse does the moment you appear at the property for the first time each day. Not when you call them, not when you open the feed bucket, before any of that, in the very second they see or hear you. Horses with a deep, secure bond with their human demonstrate what researchers call primary orientation, an immediate redirection of attention that happens before any concrete stimulus like food or touch. Their head comes up, their ears rotate toward you, their whole body reorients in your direction. Some begin moving toward you before you've taken a single step toward them. That's not habit, that's not feeding conditioning. That's a horse who spent the night in that pasture and woke up still oriented toward you. A horse whose nervous system registers your arrival as the most important thing happening in that moment. A horse who follows you, who seeks your closeness, who monitors you from a distance and comes to meet you, isn't just attached. They've made a decision that most humans spend their whole lives hoping someone will make about them. They chose you, every single day, without condition, without hesitation, without ever needing a reason. And the least we can do is notice. If this video made you want to go out to the pasture right now, your horse is probably already watching the gate, waiting. Leave a like and subscribe, because your horse deserves a rider who understands them this deeply.